Dare I say tonight's episode will be terrific?
I think it was fantastic.
Oh my God. Wow.
Dear God, this episode.
This one. It's like I remembered bits, but then yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one to talk about.
Oh, there are I found at least 2 additional flat out Marvel homages beyond the obvious one that we're going to talk about. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So, yeah.
But yeah, this will be a good one. Thank you guys for joining us. We're starting a half hour later. Which
My
is
fault. I mean,
fault.
well, really, David kind of David.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was putting Vero and your David Pena on there.
Okay. No. At first, I thought like I was gonna have to like bump it probably about 15 minutes because, I just with everything that I was preparing, and I still had to watch the Daredevil episode. I still had to watch this episode, and then I was preparing a sketch for Film Junkie Live that I also had to record, and work was a pain in the ass. So I was like, maybe I wasn't going to be able to get to watch the full episode before I started, but it ended up actually working out because, tonight's Film Junkie Live actually didn't end up being that long, which was, I was like, oh yeah, there wasn't that much to talk about. But then you said half hour,
right? Because, who were you talking about for Batman on your Film Junkie Live?
Brendan Sklenar.
Yeah. Well, Heather and I were watching the finale of 1923. And when we started it, I didn't know it was the season finale. Then I didn't realize, it's the series finale. And
we're ending that already?
Oh yeah. Well, 1883 was only one season.
Oh, okay. I thought that was getting a second season. Oh, wow. Well, that's cool though. They just needed one little spin-off. Okay.
Yeah, well, because they just tell these little prequel stories leading up to Yellowstone.
Gotcha.
So this was the story they wanted to tell. They did this one in 2 seasons. But then not only did I not know it was the season finale, not only did I not know it was the series finale, when we went to start it, it's a 2-hour fucking long episode.
Oh, shit. Of course it is.
Yeah. So I just looked at it and went, and then I said, well, honey, we probably won't be able to finish it tonight. It's 2 hours. And she went, what? And I went, Dave. This was definitely one of those happy wife, happy life kind of situations.
No, it makes sense. No, it ended up working out,
Oh, man. So, no, but it was funny because this dude, especially this episode, if you want to like understand why people are like fan casting him as Batman. Dude, this finale. It was so good.
All right. I like it. And of course, thank you guys for joining. We got Eric right here. I'm going to say it. Terry meets the fantastic
3/4.
Yeah. What's going on, Jason? We got Monique. Hello. And then Tony Movie Chappie D9 Neil Blomkamp fan. Yes, Scott. What did you and your kid think of
this? I'm so glad I get to talk about this.
Yes, I was going to ask you about it too.
Declan loved it.
Of course.
We made sure we sat him in between Heather and me. So if he wanted to explain something or we had questions, it was just like, okay, Declan, what was that? What was that? But on top of that, so Liam, my 12-year-old, didn't want to go. He doesn't play Minecraft anymore. He didn't want to go to the movies with mom and dad and his brother, that kind of thing. Now he's going on Saturday with his friends because, and I quote, I didn't know the movie was going to be that popular.
Oh, geez. See, that's the thing. And that's what's driving this movie. I mean, Minecraft movie is very much for the TikTok people. Like it's a TikTok movie. Like I was seeing ads every time I would open TikTok, whether I was posting a video or I just was like, oh, let me see what's going on there. I would get an ad or I would scroll through and I would see people talking about it. It was heavily marketed through I'm not saying that your kids are on TikTok or something like that, but it's very much.
But my kids actually played Minecraft. And when I went on Saturday, it was like all like elementary school kids and their parents at 10:45 on a Saturday. It was like the perfect time. Declan we got him the AMC combo, so we got like the giant cup with a creeper on
Nice.
top of it and the popcorn tin, and it also came with a plushie Dennis.
Oh, a
Yeah.
plushie Dennis.
I
Nice.
had to buy my wife a shirt of Jack Black riding Jason Momoa with the wings.
Of course.
Um,
Oh man.
Go to my X feed if you want to see that picture.
Yeah.
So no, I mean and then when I picked up Liam and his friends who I pick up in carpool in the afternoons, yeah, their request today was to play Lava Chicken.
Lava chicken? Not.
The song,
Oh, is that what it's called? Lava chicken?
lava
Oh, okay.
chicken. Steve's lava chicken. Da, 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 da. Yes, I was playing that on the way home this afternoon.
Nice.
So, Tony Chappie Bloomcamp. That's
Yeah.
how my kids have reacted to Minecraft. Yes.
No, I mean I messaged you. I said, yeah, your son is going to love it.
Yes,
Like,
unfortunately, Declan never wants. There's an end credit scene apparently that I missed.
Yeah.
Because Declan never wants to wait for the end credit scenes. So Liam apparently has already heard about it. So he knows what it is.
You can find it online and show it to him. I'm sure, it's out there already.
I'm sure if I look, I will find it because
Yeah.
Liam's not a Minecraft, doesn't play Minecraft anymore. Yeah, he could explain to me the significance of the end credit scene. I was just like,
Okay, so he's going through that phase where I'm too cool, but then all of a sudden, when all of a sudden the movie is cool, it's like, well, all right.
Yeah. That's exactly.
I
laughed in his face. I laughed in his face when he told me that. I was like, I knew it.
Yes, that's what happens. Like, oh yeah, no, Minecraft's not cool. Then all of a sudden, everybody, I'm sure all his friends that following Monday, they were talking about it. They were saying this, and he felt probably left out. No, I gotta go. Yeah, see, that's what happens. Hey, he's at that age. At that age. I get
He's
it.
in middle school. Yep.
And yes, Monique sounds like a Tenacious D song. Yes, I mean I said in my first reaction,
the whole thing.
I said in my first reaction video, I was like, it might as well have been Tenacious D presents Minecraft. I mean, just because the reason why I enjoyed it because I've always been a fan of Jack Black ever since I've found out who Jack Black was. I was a fan of Nacho Libre, who of course Jared Hess, who directed this movie, directed that movie. I love that movie. Can quote it for days because I watched it so much. Me and my really good friend Kyle, we'll just freaking randomly say that shit when we're just hanging out. So, and I've always just been a Tenacious D fan. I've seen him live. So I was happy with the fact that I just got a heavy dose of just Jack Black being Jack Black, doing the Jack Black isms. I didn't understand fuck all what was happening when it came to.
That's why you needed a 9-year-old with you.
Yes, exactly. But I was hearing, because like my theater was 75% full.
Same.
And I was hearing.
Mine was pretty packed for a 10:45 on a Saturday morning. I mean,
yes. I mean, mine was 5:30 on Thursday. Of course, it's opening evening, but yeah, I mean, I kept hearing voices like, oh, that's that kind of stuff, and I'm
all
like,
the
this
recognition
is cool.
of the things. Yes,
and I'm like, this is cool. At least I'm enjoying it because of how ridiculous Jack Black and Jason Momoa are.
Stupid silly fun.
I mean, and it wasn't to the point where I was rolling my eyes. Like, no, I mean, when people, I mean, no,
it's
yeah. When I saw the trailer, I was like, wow, this looks bad. But yeah, because when you look at Jason Momoa, you're like, why does he look like that? But they literally explain it in like the first 2 minutes of the movie of why he looks like that. And I'm like, okay, good. You explain why he looks so ridiculous. Thank you. You already got that out of the way. I get it. Blah, blah, blah.
And you know what? And for someone who just watches my kids play Minecraft, there was enough references that I was getting like on my own. Like my favorite one that I caught that Declan didn't even catch is at the end when the sister has the self-defense school. It was called survival mode self-defense. And those are the two modes of Minecraft. There's survival mode and creative mode.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that actress is actually that's Wednesday's friend in the Wednesday show.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I kept on going, why does she look familiar? And then I went, she's
a roommate.
Yes, she's the roommate, the happy-go-lucky, the polar opposite of Wednesday.
Yes.
So but I mean, it's crazy. This movie's just taking the world by storm, and with we got 3 new movies coming out this weekend. They're not even gonna probably touch
No, but
Minecraft.
I'm seeing 2 of them on Friday. So
I'm gonna try to see more than one. I don't know which one I'm gonna see tomorrow. I got to run it by my dad because he wanted to see the Amateur and Warfare. I think he's gonna go with Warfare, being a military man. And that's the one I prefer to see because it's Alex Garland. So yeah, I'm gonna lean on that one, and I'm sure he will too. But I do want to. God, I'm like, I want to see the Amateur. Maybe I'll wait on that. I really want to see the drop just for the thriller aspect of it. I don't know. There's just something about it just really grabbed me. That trailer with the airdrops and you got to kill your date or else your son dies or whatever.
Who outgoes Brandon? So
yes, exactly. Which I haven't seen him really in anything. I've seen clips, but I haven't really seen Brandon Sklenar. I'm like sitting here going, yeah, I think he'd be a good Batman. And I've literally not seen him in a full thing. So maybe I'll try to catch it this weekend or something like that. But yeah, 3 movies. I mean, we talked about it. April is stacked.
Oh, dude, I've got it's been crazy. It's been one of those as soon as I'm watching a movie, I'm like swapping in, my A-list reservation to make sure that I can get in the next one because I'm also going to that early tax day screening of The Accountant 2.
Oh, there you go. Jeez. Yeah, we got that. We got Sinners.
Which I have my IMAX tickets for. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, April's stacked, but that's not what we're talking about here tonight. We're gonna
that was such a tangent.
It was a tangent, but hey, we're Scott and I are just catching up. That's what we're doing. We're just catching up. And
I mean, I was rocking out to our Batman Beyond intro because it's been a hot minute since I've seen it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
God, I know. I always love watching this. It's such a great intro, but. Yeah, so we're talking about heroes. Now, this is an interesting one because obviously, even with the thumbnail, if you have no idea what the hell is happening in this episode, you're probably going like, "What the hell is going on? Why is there no Batman in the initial image of the thumbnail?" Well, we'll get to that, of course, because this episode. I said we're back in future Gotham, Neo Gotham, and starts off right away with a heist that is happening at a technology.
Reminded me a lot of The Last Son of Krypton Part 2 because remember you've got the guys with the jetpacks,
yes,
who are stealing from LexCorp, because it ends up being like John Corbin, but then also the dude who's got Biff Tannen. Remember he was the voice of one of those guys.
He was. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, in the credits, they're listed as Rocketeers.
As they should be.
Exactly.
Because that's exactly what you think about when you see them flying off of jetpacks. But yeah, they stole like something called a D7 chip. And of course, naturally, who's going to spot them? Batman spots them and starts taking them on as he does. But, he's still Terry, still young, still making mistakes.
He's still a new Batman,
He's still a very new Batman. He's still a little bit of a greenhorn when it comes to this stuff. So he takes out one guy, but makes him crash into a billboard. But then of course one of the other guys takes him out, but then all of a sudden this girl who looks like a ghost just comes in, floats on by, and then floats up and decides to take on the guys.
She's like, I got this. So
yes,
and it's our introduction to Freon.
That's right, Freon, which is like, okay, interesting. We don't know the names quite yet. We just know that okay, there's that, and then all of a sudden we get this big, huge molten rock Clayface looking dude.
Okay, yes, his shape is very, very Clayface.
Very Clayface. But this is where if you're watching this like fresh, I mean, I remembered what these, and I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like, if you're watching this fresh, you start going, wait a minute. And then when you see 2D man, you go, what the fuck?
It's the fantastic. It's Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, and the Invisible Woman.
And essentially the Thing, if you think about it, is almost a combination of, Johnny and him, because he's got, I mean, he doesn't shoot fire, he doesn't fly, but he's still.
But that's kind of what, okay. So here's the weird thing. Freon and Magma take elements of Human Torch and kind of split them up because Freon flies around like the Human Torch does.
Yes.
Her hair has got the tail, the trail going on the same way that Johnny would have the flame kind of tailing behind him. And she shoots ice the same way that Johnny Human Torch would shoot fire. But then you've got Magma, who's like the Thing, but because he's molten rock instead of just being rock, he has the fire aspect that the Human Torch would have.
Yeah.
And then the 2D man is just straight up the Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. What do they call him? 2D. It's like, well, I get it. It's clever, I guess, because it's like, because he flattens himself, you know?
Well, because he pretty much stays in a flattened state the entire time. Unlike Reed, who, you know, he goes into all kinds of, you know, all kinds of shapes. So that came out a little dirtier than I was expecting, but okay.
That's the
I
way
think you laughing at it is what really sold it.
Yes, so. I added to it because I'm very immature and I've been drinking wine for the past 2 hours. So yeah, nice. That's what it's all about. You know, and then, you know, yeah. I mean, there was jokes because, you know, with the new Fantastic Four movie, we found out that Sue is in fact pregnant. And we're like, well, we know one part stretches. All right. Okay. Anyway.
Well, the twins have to come somewhere. So
yeah, they are. I know. They're already jumping right into it. They're like, yep, these two are already knocking boots. But it is kind of interesting. Is there any kind of backstory that you found why they decided to make like a off-brand Fantastic Four?
You know what? I didn't do research specifically for this episode. I just remember watching it. And then as you watch the rest of the episode, and I'll point this out, there are, like I said, I spotted in my mind at least 2 more fairly obvious Marvel homages. And I almost feel like the episode was basically them just taking a swing at Marvel. Because remember, Marvel characters in the 616 universe, specifically if you're talking about the ones that are co-created by Stan Lee and his various collaborators, Marvel was the accidents.
Yeah.
You know, that you know, DC has always traditionally had more of the mythological god structure. You know, their heroes tend to be, you know, these allegories and these metaphors for these various godlike beings. And Marvel was always more of the blue collar hero, the person who had something extraordinary happen to them that turns them into, you know, a superpowered individual. That's why I think it was so interesting. And I'm jumping to the end of the episode, but because you asked me this, the Magma's line at the end of the episode really felt like an interesting commentary on the Marvel model, which was Terry says, "Don't, you're a hero." And Magma says, "I'm just an accident. A hero is a choice."
Ooh, that's right. He does say that. Yeah.
Now, you can argue, and I would argue this because I'm not shitting on Marvel, that they are still heroes because they take their accidents and choose what to do with them. It's the whole Spider-Man thing, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. You have to you can have the power, but you have to choose how you're going to use it. But still, I feel like it's an interesting commentary on how all of Marvel's main Stan Lee co-created creations are accidents. That's what that 1960s on when, because remember the Fantastic Four, they're called the first family because the 616 universe starts with Fantastic Four #1. You know, with Kirby and Stan Lee. So I just felt like they just thought they were going to play around with the Marvel model, you know, because you also got to remember at that time, Marvel was bankrupt. Like this is just after the point where they sold everything off, which is why we ended up with like Sony and Fox and everyone having those film rights.
Yeah, this is late 90s when Marvel was fucking bankrupt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So I felt like that was just kind of their way of like, and I don't feel like it's disrespectful. I just think it's
it's not.
It's
not like they made them like shitty, as much as like this episode is kind of like, it might be, in my opinion, like it's kind of a weak one in my opinion.
Yes, I would agree with you on that one. Yes.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's still not, it's not that bad.
Well, it's almost like, because Stan Lee did that thing in the comics where DC invited Stan Lee over and said, okay, Stan Leeify our cast.
Yeah.
And so it's like Stan Lee creates, and he did his own. What would Stan Lee have done to make Superman? What would Stan Lee have done to make Batman? And he did it in that very Marvel-esque way. I felt like this was kind of a, well, what if we had the Marvel model happen, but in the DC universe?
Yeah. No, it's a 100%. And it was, but what was interesting though, okay, so after this all happens and they take them on, and then of course they clean house, they get everybody, and then of course we get like it's so funny too. It's a really cool like how the episode plays on where Batman just kind of goes, who are those guys? And then it immediately cuts to the Terrific Three. And it's just like, it shows like, yeah, we got Freon, and we got Magma, we got 2D Man. And then they just kind of, again, they have to do all this in 22, 23 minutes. So they immediately just go right into introducing them and showing like, but it's just, to me, I was going, wait, where the fuck were these guys this whole time? Like all of a sudden we just have these three heroes. They have a talent.
That is definitely a 22-minute one-off episode. When did they suddenly just show up? Because the Terrific Tower, clearly their version of the Baxter Building, is already there, and they already have all this government support, and it's like, and we haven't heard about them yet.
Yeah. And then we get like a brief clip of like when all this, and like Terry is just like, well, I guess I can do my homework a little bit more. And then Bruce is just like, of course, Bruce being, I don't know,
cynical as hell.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously cynical, but it's just, that's the one thing where you kind of just go, all right, so this whole time, what? It's just, this happened in like what, a matter of how long? And it was so like quick. And again, but I'm just kind of going like, I guess they had the idea, they got to condense it down to 22 minutes. So they got to just do something. But when you're, 40 years old and you're, engaging in conversation weekly about this kind of stuff, you start asking questions.
You do start asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're watching it on a one-off on like 10:30 on Saturday morning back in 1999, you're just like, okay.
You're like, cool, look at that guy. Yeah. But of course he's not certain. And then of course we get another appearance from Barbara Gordon in this.
Commissioner Gordon.
Commissioner Barbara Gordon.
Yes.
With a hostage situation that is happening, and naturally we're going to see the Terrific Trio back in action as to rid of these bad guys, showing off their abilities and everything, because they have captured. We have like basically a woman and her child, right? That is like
a councilwoman.
That's what it is.
But what I love about this is that it does play on an interesting Fantastic Four trope.
Yep.
Which is the fact that when you go back to the Fantastic Four, Johnny, Sue, and Reed also look human.
Yep.
Ben is the only one who gets transformed into a, air quotes here, monster, and has to deal with that. Even the first Fantastic Four movie, directed by Tim Story, did a great job of that with Michael Chiklis as the Thing.
Absolutely.
But in this case, they play it even more to where, because of his molten armor, and there's a kid involved, the kid is scared to death of Magma. even though Magma is the hero. And that's always also been a really interesting Marvel trope with the Stan Lee characters, which is we're the heroes, but we're also treated as outcasts, even by the people who we're saving. And so that was cool, especially since, in the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm is a pilot. Reed is the scientist. And it's interesting that in this one, Magma was the lead scientist. So
they flipped it a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Magma is really what if Reed Richards had become the Thing.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what his backstory is, because he's in a relationship with Freon, who of course is sort of the Sue Storm analog here. And so I like that because it's the intellectual, it's the scientist who it's being warped by what's been done to him and people's reaction to him.
And I like the fact that he he smashes a cop car, and then of course the two cops were like, "Hey, you can't do that. That's police property." And he goes, "You want to tell him?" I was like, that was a good line. You want to tell him? Yeah, no, of course not.
Which, by the way, the whole time I was sitting there going, I know this voice from Magma.
Okay, so who's the voice? Please tell me.
It's Robert Davi.
Robert Davi, who's that?
Look him up. He was the Bond villain in License to Kill, the second Timothy Dalton movie.
Robert Davi.
Davi.
Robert Davi. Yes. Yep. No, that guy. Oh yeah, he's been in a ton of things. What are you talking about? Jesus Christ. Yes. Yeah, he's been a ton of things.
He's always been some sort of like South American Miami drug dealer, pick an 80s, late early 90s crime.
Dude, he was okay. If anybody really wants to know who he is, just remember Agent Johnson. No relation. Die Hard. Remember in Die Hard when you had both Agent Johnsons that showed up? One was white, one was black. He was the white guy. Yeah. So they had that running joke. It's that guy.
He was also on that long-running TV show with Patricia Arquette.
He was also in the Goonies. Also, very notable in the Goonies.
He was in the Goonies.
He's
been a ton of things,
dude. Yeah, you just look him up and you see his face. You go, yep. I remember. Yep. That guy, he's just been in a ton of shit. I knew it too. I was like, I recognize that voice. And I'm like, well, all right, well, I'll wait. I'm not going to look, so and sure enough. But is anybody else notable?
Well, just 2D Man is Jeff Bennett, and Jeff Bennett is one of those voice actors. Like you've heard him in
his voice. Yeah.
Yeah. You've heard him in 10,000 different cartoons in your life kind of deal. So, But that was that was it. But, and we've already discussed from her first appearance that, Stalker Channing is Commissioner Gordon. So
yes, which her voice. When I heard it too, I was like, I know at first I was like, oh shit, I forgot who she was. And then it hit me. I'm like, okay, yeah, Stalker Channing. I was like, yep. But of course she's only in it for a little bit. But it's cool to see Barbara, Well,
that's kind of, and I forgot.
Golden Babs.
But I forgot how much of a slow burn the introduction of Barbara is in this series.
Yeah.
Like, this is only her second time to appear in the show, and it's only for like a hot minute. Like, because she still doesn't know who Terry. Like, she knows there's a new Batman, but there hasn't been the reveal yet of who the new Batman is to her. And but I forgot how much they slow rolled Barbara in this series, at least to this first season. So I'm enjoying that.
It's good, but and I mean, naturally too, like one of the things, obviously, when we do the recap thing and when they show what happened to, experiment went wrong, and it says, but and then of course you have kids that are just all about it and everything.
This footage may be disturbing to young viewers.
Turn it up. It's just like, is that, of course, kids in the future. Are you kidding me? I mean, especially nowadays. My God knows. So there's like a whole, we see that whole thing. There is a fourth member of this group whose name is Hodges. But of course he wasn't there when the experiment happened, but he is somebody who was part of their team, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he feels a little bit like the way Doctor Doom is portrayed in that Tim Story, movie, where he's
not quite the group, but he's like an outsider, but he's like, there's something about him where it's like, wait a minute.
We don't trust you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very true. You should not trust him, because when they were talking to him and they discuss, what happened and everything, and then of course when he when he goes out and when there's some car that lands and then the door opens and you see who's inside, it's like, is that Lex Hitler?
You know who I thought it? Know who it reminded me of?
Who?
Thunderbolt Ross.
Oh, okay, but with no hair. Does he have no hair? He's had, yeah, but he has the Hitler mustache a little.
He's got the Hitler. He does have the Hitler mustache. Yeah. But he barks orders. He's got the arm.
Yeah, he does have that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so you're like Thunderbolt Ross. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Now maybe I'm stretching that one, but I just felt like in this Marvel-esque episode, that was like, oh, you're like Thunderbolt Ross. Okay.
No, I think you're onto that, but they made him like, it was like a mixture of Lex Luthor and put a Hitler mustache on him. Why not? And then of course, put some a uniform on him. So no, it makes sense. And then of course we have Terry and his brother. What's his brother's name again? I totally forgot. Matt. That's right. They're at like a mall or something, and then of course again it's like going, where the fuck were all these guys? Now they got merchandise all over the place.
Know, right?
There's all this merchandise, but I like what Matt says, where he's like, oh, cool and blah blah blah, but then he goes, yeah, I prefer Batman though, and he said that, and it was kind of like one of those like, oh yeah, but he prefers Batman, because Batman's more of a badass.
I still like Terry. Let me buy some ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. Terry was like, well, that's deserving for a cone with a couple scoops on it. But so he sees that, and then of course Hodges, we cut to Hodges, who gets like handed like this little cube thing that is showing like a DNA scan of the three. And of course what he sees, hey, not good. Of course we don't know exactly what he sees, but we know, oh shit, something's not good when it comes to that whole thing.
But doesn't it show us, is it when he's with the general that we actually see the DNA literally unraveling?
Yeah. We don't see it. All we see is like maybe he's looking at something and he's just looking at DNA. But then of course they just cut to him just kind of going, uh-oh, kind of thing. And then of course he knows that there's something, and he wants to contact General Norman, who's, Lex Hitler. And then saying that, we got a problem. And then of course, so it's like, okay. But then of course, when we cut to basically some dude in a lab who's also got this information, we see him get knocked out.
Because that was a scientist who brought the cube to Hodges, and Hodges was like, run it again. Like it's kind of measure twice, cut once. It's like, these results say their DNA is totally falling apart, but go triple check. Be really sure this is what's happening on these scans.
Yeah. So, and then of course we see him get knocked out. They use that, awesome, like, hey, here's the shadow. We don't know exactly who's doing this. So he gets knocked out. And then of course, Batman is out there. And then I love how he's just, of course he's, Terry's being Terry, like, hey, do I really need to be doing this? I thought, we got this terrific three, blah, blah, blah. But of course, Bruce, like, no. And then obviously when he's riding around the Batmobile in flight, where he senses, oh yeah, something's going on over here, senses some heat. And then Bruce is like, a fire or a weenie roast. It's like, the sarcasm I like. I just like that we have this dynamic of cynical Bruce and sarcastic.
Oh God, okay. That is one of the aspects of Batman Beyond that I love, is Bruce being old man Bruce, crotchety. I mean, he was pretty humorless, especially in that final season anyway. But to really have old man Bruce, who's just cranking old, and you have a whippersnapper teenager, who's really, Tim Drake did a little bit of that and a little bit of Dick, but Terry just takes it up because Terry's the one actually having to, do the work.
Yeah, be Batman.
Old man Bruce is the man in the chair.
Yeah, I mean they've kept how Bruce is. I mean, just go all the way back to Laughing Fish and yeah, I drew you a bath. I said I drew.
Oh no, that wasn't Laughing Fish. That was
wasn't Laughing Fish.
That was the last laugh.
Yeah, sorry, wrong Joker episode.
Right.
Yes, yeah, because that's right. He took many showers in Laughing Fish because all the garbage. That's where I got confused. I was like, bath, showers. Yeah, you're right. But at the same time, it's like, even though at the end Bruce did try to zing Alfred.
April Fools.
Yeah. And it's just like so awkward. It's like, okay, you tried, Bruce, but he did scare Alfred because I love the look on his face. He's like, just take it out of your paycheck. That's right. It was that one. I totally forgot about that. I was like, yeah, that's right. It wasn't Laughing Fish. I got those confused, but hey, it happens.
Laughing Fish was like far superior episode.
Yes. So we get that. And then of course, Batman jumps into action, and then of course he sees the magma footprints.
It's not Smokey the Bear.
Exactly. I mean, again, the wittiness of Terry is just it's fun. It's fun. And then of course Magma, he comes out of the lab and he's got the case with the cube with the DNA scan in it, and of course just knocks Batman out of the way, and he takes off, and then of course Batman goes after him. And going back, I mean, they end up back in the tower, and or Magma does, and of course with the DNA scan, and they see, this is where we actually see, I mean, it's nothing we haven't seen before. I mean, we've seen it many times in like movies and stuff where it's like, oh yeah, DNA just starts breaking down. You see the strands, and it just kind of breaks down, and then they're like, oh, we're gonna be like this forever, and blah blah blah, and it's
well, I like how they're like, I like how they say we're gonna be like this forever, and Magma's like, I don't think that's going to be the problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, I think we might actually probably break down and die. That's probably what's going to happen. I think that's what this is showing us here, buddy. Because obviously he's the son. Again, we got to remember that he's the smart one of the group. He's
right. He's the Reed Richards. Of the group. Yes.
Didn't they? What was his full name again? It was
Michael. Okay, it was alliterative.
Michael
it was
War or something like that.
Something Michael like that.
Yeah. I was trying to remember because one of them. I mean, I think the other two had like the similar, same letter.
Freon had the alliteration too.
Yeah, the
2D
alliteration.
Man did not. I think.
Yeah.
But because I was listening to that, I was like, do we have the
Stanley alliteration? Yeah.
Exactly. Mike Morgan.
There you go. Yeah, but he, So we get that, and they're like a breakdown, and then of course, we get like a total just General Norman is like, well, I don't trust you guys, and you took this whole thing, and now we're going to attack your tower. So they start just dive bombing it. They send little smoke missiles into the tower, and everything just starts going to hell. And of course, Terry shows up, but he's in the middle of the action because he's seeing all this happening. He gets stuck under rubble, as one does when you're trying to be covert and you're trying to be, you're not trying to make any noise, but of course, things are going to fall on you when things go to hell. And so he's, of course, gets that happens to him, and then of course, when the terrific. What is it? The terrific trio?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a trio. They escape. They essentially escape, but they do a good job of they send off like one of their little cars. But of course, that was just a decoy because they decided to go like a different route to get out.
Fantastic car?
What? Is it? Is it terrific? Yeah, probably something like that. I mean, I guess we're going to get the Fantastic Car in the new Fantastic Four movie. They're really going balls out with that Fantastic
They
Four.
Really are. They get Herbie. We get Herbie.
You might as well. I mean, that hasn't been shown. This is another tangent, folks. But, you might as well because they didn't do that with the original movies. I mean, Fan Four Stick, Jesus Christ. That was just a
Still
disaster.
Have never seen that one.
Yeah, don't unless you just want to see the but they were trying to do. They actually had concept art. They actually filmed the scene with the Fantastic car in Fan-4stick. There was a mock-up thing, and they actually filmed the scene, and they actually had concept art for a Herbie too, which was funny. But if you're going to introduce them now in the MCU after this long, you might as well just go balls to the wall. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, is the retroness of everything. And I'm going,
the 60s futurism is going to be really
I love
cool.
the aesthetic of everything I've seen with Fantastic Four.
I mean, I'll have to say, since we're talking Marvel, I mean, there's at least, I have not been to an MCU movie in the theater since Multiverse of Madness.
Wow.
And since Endgame, I've only been twice. I went to Multiverse of Madness and I went to No Way Home.
Of course.
Those are the only two MCU movies post Endgame I've seen in theaters. But I'm planning on seeing 2 this year.
Thunderbolts, right?
I already have my tickets for Thunderbolts.
There's something good. There's something that it looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
You know what the marketing that got me was the trailer that's cut like an A24 movie.
Dude, and when they were saying
out how all of them are like connected to A24 movies.
Yeah. The cinematographer, the sound designer and they mentioned
the composer of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I'm like,
the cinematographer of like The Green Knight.
Yeah. I was like, brilliant. This is like the best. I think this is probably one of the best MCU trailers I've ever seen. Maybe in all CBM. I'm like, perfect. Good job. And then of course you got Florence Pugh, there's nothing wrong with it.
Pew isn't my not my flavor.
Okay.
But still but you can also tell I was actually talking to the guys over at Ultimate Marvel Alliance over on the Geekverse channel about how they gave Thunderbolts the May slot. Like the free comic book day release, they gave it to Thunderbolts. So that means Marvel Studios thinks they've got something with this one. So
yeah, it's definitely I would not be surprised if it does better than Captain America: Brave New World.
Would it really take that much?
It's not going to take that much at all. It's really not, and I think a lot of people are just kind of going, that one happened, and now this one
we're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on, and this one looks like it's going to be a fun, good time, ridiculousness, and So I think that's interesting that you haven't seen. I didn't know that you hadn't seen since a movie since Multiverse of Madness. That was like 2.5, 3 years ago. Yeah,
in theaters.
You caught up on
Well, I haven't caught up on all of them.
Oh, okay, yeah. You haven't missed much.
Because even when I ask like Brent and Chris Balga, like, what's my homework? And they're like, Black Widow and Hawkeye. And I was like, okay, I've seen them. Cool. Moving on. It's like the homework problem hasn't been that hard for me lately.
I mean, Bucky shows up in Brave New World, which shocker, but at the same time, it's not anything significant.
The only thing I think I still need to do is I still have to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yes, I've not watched
that. Was a better. That's better. If you had to choose between Brave New World or Falcon and Winter Soldier, choose Falcon and Winter Soldier totally. And I think that could be some homework because it also has what's his name, who's also part of Thunderbolts in there. That could be some homework, and but it's not a bad series. It maybe has some filler stuff, but overall,
I've got some great. My work schedule has allowed me to do a lot of catching up recently, so I've got a couple of weeks till Thunderbolts. I can fit in 6 episodes. I can fit in 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I would say definitely check that out because I think that would definitely help out. But see the tangent we're going on here, folks.
Well, but it works. It's such a Marvelized episode of Batman Beyond because here's another great Marvel reference. Okay, and if you could bring this image up, when Terry is underneath all that rubble, and he goes to lift it up. Amazing Spider-Man number 33. That Spider-Man lifting up. I mean, No Way Home did it too. It's a classic. It's a classic Spider-Man image.
I found it. Yeah. So you're talking about like something. You're talking about this right here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So lifting up. I mean, we might as well just start watching the clip right here because this is where everything's starting to get like crazy.
I mean, just look at that and then compare it to Amazing Spider-Man number 33. I mean, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, everything's madness is happening. They're trying to get away.
That's a cool move, though.
That is cool, just to melt it like that.
These army guys. I love how the one guy has to have like the massive scar running down his face.
I see them.
Of course.
Let's take him down, Major.
Let's take him down, Major. These guys are just like, hey, we're just gonna fire all over the place.
I mean, we're not like we're in a major metropolitan city
not at
or
all.
anything.
We don't give a shit.
I want that tower secured.
You heard the general? Those freaks are history.
Those freaks are history. Let's get to more. And then, of course, they approach Hodges, and they talk about like, oh yeah,
the data on the particle fusion experiment.
You were supposed to be there.
According
Dun
to your
dun
notes, you knew about the
dun.
danger. No,
Yes.
I had no idea this would happen.
Yes,
Just
you
a freak
did.
accident. Yes, 1 in a million.
So that's what they kind of approach him on, and then they, of course, are like, nope, we're gonna
Michael
set
had
it off
all.
again.
Psychotic.
We are what you
Just kind of
made
fast
us.
forwarding,
Party's
because
over.
this is where Batman comes in. I love how he it's
He
not-
punches 2D man right in the face.
Whoop. So we get a little showdown between Batman and the terrific trio.
I just love how he keeps on like using their powers against
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
My question is, how did he know to activate that ventilation system?
Very
Because
true.
bye-bye 2D man.
Yep. And then bye-bye, Miss Freon.
And she dissipates. Like she is.
Yeah, she gets ripped apart.
This is dark, man. This
Yeah, that was
is-
a little dark. That was a little dark.
I gotta shut that thing off. Thousands of people will die. Matt, Dr. Morgan, you can't let that happen. You're a hero,
Hero.
remember?
No, I'm an accident. Real heroes, they make a choice.
Ah.
I never did.
There's that line. It's a good line. It's a good
that
line.
sells the
No.
episode right there
It does.
with that line.
It's a good line.
And then, you know, so 2D man gets sucked up into whatever. Freon gets, you know, dissipated. I mean, Batman essentially kills the Terrific Trio with this
He
episode.
pretty much does.
Because look, he just
Just
fades.
totally just done. Abort.
Now, of course, you could, if you want to be an apologist, you could say, well, they were dying anyway. You know, so.
True.
No, you don't understand. I was their friend.
Right.
Right.
I love Terry's reactions like, bullshit.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Sad piano.
Of course. Gotta do that. And it's a sad ending to the story. And that's the way that it ends.
Well,
it.
I mean, but a good Batman episode. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
mind
decent.
it. I don't
Yeah.
mind it having a bittersweet or just a complete downer of an ending.
Yeah,
And remember,
yeah,
folks,
yeah.
Batman Beyond was requested by the studio because they wanted a more kid-friendly show.
And it's so funny because it's like they gave a good balance because like if you think about it, like taking that approach to it, like what you just said right there, because you mentioned that when we first started talking about this, they did take a kid-friendly approach by going, hey, well, what if we have like a Fantastic Four kind of, you know, rendition? But then at the same time, it's like, yeah, but by the end, Batman's essentially going to kill them.
All of them.
It's like they're never going to be heard from or seen again, but we're going to make the heroes out of these people. But yeah, but then the episode is dark.
It's
So
this is why I love this crew. They take all of the restrictions that get placed in front of them and they find some way to just go, fuck them.
yeah, fuck them. You know, like, so this is, it's like one of those episodes where I was like, oh yeah. Because I remember when we were talking about it like last week, we mentioned, I was like, heroes. I was like, I started thinking about, okay, I remember there's like a couple. I'm like, this is the one where they have a Clayface looking dude, and then it's, obviously watching. I'm like, oh yeah, these guys. And then I'm going, oh yeah, and then I'm watching. I'm going, oh man, this like, why are they all of a sudden here, and why this and why that? But then, it's when it ends, you just kind of go, well, it's not bad, not bad at all.
It's not great. It's not bad.
Not
It's
great.
entertaining. It's an entertaining episode.
It's an entertaining episode. So there you go, guys. There's Heroes right there with your terrific trio, and to never be heard from.
Heard of them again? Nope.
Yeah,
never.
That's it. They all. I mean, like again, like you said, they were gonna die anyways. Wow, which is sad to say, but hey, that's what we have. But what do we have next week?
Ooh, well, next week, still with Terry and Bruce, and they're going to face off in the episode Shriek.
Shriek. Ooh. New character, right? Or that we haven't seen?
Yes.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Yes. I started turning into Jeff Goldblum right there. Yes. All right, so Shriek's next week, guys. Check it out. We're gonna still be here in the future with Terry and old man Bruce. So that'll be fun. And yeah, we'll see how much we remember when it comes to this episode. It should be good times. Good times. Scott, do you have anything you want to promote before we check out?
Nothing necessarily right now, but I am, as I said in our very long tangent at the beginning of the episode, I do plan on going to see The Accountant 2 on, they have like they have one showing, 7:00 Tuesday night, because it's tax day, a week and a half early access screening. So I do plan on either doing written or video, something of doing some sort of review after seeing The Accountant 2 after Tuesday night. So if you are like me and you're super excited for a sequel to a movie that came out in 2017, because I'm there, I was there opening day in 2017. Check my X feed and Letterbox and all the things, because I do plan on doing some type of review, be it video or written, for The Accountant 2, because I am super excited about that movie.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, and the buzz that was coming out of South by Southwest, everybody's going like, oh, this movie is just like if you like the first one, you're going to love this one. This one just ups everything. And you could tell. I mean,
oh yeah, you could tell just from the trailer.
Relationship between Bernthal and Affleck. We only got a little. We barely got anything like that in the first one. It was building up to, I mean, it was kind of obvious that, oh yeah, that's the brother. But at the same time, you go, oh yeah, they were just like, that was part of the story of them just kind of crossing paths again and finding each other. Now we actually get to see them interact, and just every time I see the trailer, I'm like, yeah, the way that they are going to interact with each other, that's going to be the best part of this whole fucking thing.
It's the buddy cop,
It's the buddy cop, but it's brothers. One has autism, one is a fucking loose cannon dickhead.
One has autism and one's a sociopath.
There you go. That's what it is. So cool. So yeah, guys, check out things that Scott's going to be posting and everything. So. And of course, guys, hit that like, thumbs up when it comes to this channel, and look forward to whatever first reaction I'm going to be doing tomorrow. It's up to Pop's Film Junkie. I think it's going to be Warfare, given the nature of the fact that he's a retired military man. So looking forward to that. But if he goes, hey, I want to see The Amateur, I'll be like, all right, let's go see The Amateur.
Really, the best part is you're in a win-win situation.
Pretty much. Even if he said, I don't want to see Drop, I'll be like, let's go see Drop. He's not going to. But like I said, there's 3 goddamn movies coming out this weekend. All look good, and they're all tracking well when it comes to at least critic reviews. I looked them up on Film Junkie Live. There's mainly positive reviews when it comes to all 3 movies. So hey, I might, if I just go fuck it, I might see 2 movies this weekend. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I actually am thinking about it. Maybe I'll make a Saturday out of it. I need to get a haircut. Hair's getting a little too long. So maybe I'll go get a haircut.
Did a haircut today.
Yes. I can't tell. I'm just kidding.
Fair. I mean, not gonna lie, man.
I had to bust your balls there, Scotty. Hey, you pull it off.
Yeah.
You pull it off. Hey, you know what? You pull it off. That's all.
Well, it's because I don't try to grow it out.
You keep it at a good length.
I stay in my lane.
You stay in your lane. That's what you got to do. You work with what you got. And we love it. And we love you guys. And we'll see you next week for Shriek. And I'll see you guys, of course, up for the Vodka stream on Friday. We'll have lots to talk about, of course. And we love you. And we will talk to you guys later. I got to find the drop. What the hell? There it is.